Class 7, Science, Chapter 16. Water, a Precious Resource. Animated Science. Introduction. Water is a precious resource on Earth. Water is very essential for life on Earth. It is required by both plants and animals. The uses of water can be broadly divided into agricultural, domestic, and industrial. In India, a major portion of water is used for agricultural purposes as India is an agricultural country. Nearly 71% of the earth is covered by water in the form of oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, ice, groundwater, and moisture in the air. However, most of it is not fit for human consumption. Water that is fit for human consumption is called fresh water. Only 0.006% of the water on the earth is actually available for our use. Forms of water. In nature, water exists in three forms. As a solid, it exists as ice caps at the poles, snow-covered mountains, and glaciers. As a liquid, it is in the form of water in oceans, lakes, and rivers, and underground water. Its gaseous form is the water vapor in the air around us. Water cycle. You know that water on the earth has been there in one form or the other for millions of years. Water has been circulating from one state to another. This circulation of water in the environment is called the water cycle. The water cycle is driven by the sun, which evaporates the water on earth to rise as vapor. It then cycles back to earth as rain or snow and starts all over again. To follow the water cycle, you can start in the ocean, which stores more than 95% of Earth's water. Water, heated by the sun, evaporates up from the ocean and other waterways to form clouds in the sky. Some water evaporates from plants, transpiration, and a small amount evaporates directly from glacial ice or sublimation. Without this vital cycle, there would not be life on Earth as we know it. The clouds gather all the tiny water droplets together until they are big enough to fall as rain or snow. This is precipitation. Precipitation falls much more in warm tropical places than in the deserts. In colder places, precipitation falls as snow. When rain falls on land, it soaks into the groundwater and runs into rivers and streams on their way to the ocean. Here, the cycle starts all over again. The total amount of water on the earth always remains constant. It continually cycles and moves from the ocean, polar ice caps, rivers, lakes, wetlands, snow, underground aquifers, and water vapor in the clouds. Sources of water. Precipitation in the form of rain and snow provides fresh water to our planet Earth. Most of the fresh water returns to the oceans through rivers flowing across the globe. A small portion of it is absorbed by the soil and is stored underground. A still smaller portion is stored in inland water bodies, both natural, like lakes and ponds, and man-made, like tanks and reservoirs. Thus, the various sources of water can be divided into two main categories: surface water and underground water. Surface water. Water present on the surface of the earth is called surface water. The surface water is further classified into three categories depending on the purity of water. Rainwater, it is the purest form of water. River and lake water, the source of water is rainfall or melting of snow on the mountains. Sea and ocean water. Millions of liters of water is present in the seas and oceans. But the water is salty and is not fit for any domestic or agricultural use. Underground water. Underground water is the water present under the ground, that is in the soil in between the rocks. Rainwater and water from other sources like rivers and ponds seep through the soil. This water fills the empty spaces and cracks deep below the ground. This is known as infiltration. The top level of this underground water is called the water table. Sometimes groundwater accumulates between layers of hard rock. This is known as an aquifer. Water in aquifers can be drawn with tube wells and hand pumps. Groundwater and water table. Depletion of water table. As long as the water drawn from the ground is replenished by seepage of rainwater, the water table remains unaffected. The problem starts when we take more water from the ground than is replenished by natural means. Then the water table goes down and it is said to have been depleted. The factors responsible for the depletion of water table. Increasing population. Increasing population creates demand for construction of houses, shops, offices, roads and pavements. This decreases the open areas like parks and playgrounds. This in turn decreases the seepage of rainwater into the ground. What could be the consequence? A cemented floor does not allow water to seep in easily, while in a grass lawn, water seeps through in no time. Moreover, a huge amount of water is required for construction work. Often, groundwater is used for this purpose. So on the one hand, we are consuming more groundwater and on the other hand, we are allowing lesser water to seep into the ground. This results in depletion of water table. In fact, the water table in some parts of many cities has gone down to alarmingly low levels. Increasing industries. Water is used by all the industries. Almost everything that we use needs water somewhere in its production process. The number of industries is increasing continuously. Water used by most of the industries is drawn from the ground. Agricultural activities. A majority of farmers in India depend upon rains for irrigation of their crops. Irrigation systems such as canals are there only in a few places. Even these systems may suffer from lack of water due to erratic rainfall. Therefore, farmers have to use groundwater for irrigation. Population pressure on agriculture forces increasing use of groundwater day by day. This results in depletion of water table. Do you know if there are 10 tube wells in a lane of 50 houses, what could be the long-term impact on the water table? Water drawn from under the ground gets replenished by seepage of rainwater. The water table does not get affected as long as we draw as much water as is replenished by natural processes. However, the water table may go down if the water is not sufficiently replenished. As stated, there are 10 tube wells in a lane of 50 houses, so the quantity of water being pumped out from 10 tube wells cannot be replenished by the available sources like rain, drainage to recharge the groundwater table. As a result of this, in the long term, the water table beneath will get depleted and after some years, there will be no water for 10 tube wells to pump out. Water management. Water management is the continuous matching of water resources with the water requirements of a place. Water management essentially involves activities that identify sources of water, prevent wastage of water, and implement recycling of water. Water can be managed and conserved in the following ways. You know that in many places, a regular supply of water is provided by a well-planned pipe system. When the civic authorities supply water through pipes, not all of it may reach the destination. You might have seen water supply pipes leaking and a lot of water gushing out of the pipes. It is the responsibility of the civic authorities to prevent such wastage of precious water. Mismanagement or wastage may take place at the level of individuals also. All of us, knowingly or unknowingly, waste water while brushing teeth, shaving, bathing, washing, and during many other activities. Leaking taps are another reason for huge water wastage. We waste water as though we do not need water the next time. Rainwater harvesting. The process of collecting and storing water for future productive use is known as rainwater harvesting. We have seen that most of the water that we get as rainfall just flows away. This is a waste of precious natural resources. Instead of letting the rainwater run off into the sea, it can be used to recharge groundwater. Rainwater harvesting can be used to raise the water table in arid areas. It can also be used to create water storage areas. Improving methods of irrigation. Drip irrigation is an economical way of using water. Drip irrigation, also known as trickle irrigation, is an irrigation method which saves water. It is the process of watering the roots of plants drop by drop. This technique involves the use of tubes to deliver water straight to the base of a plant, where it is taken up by the roots. Effect of water scarcity on plants. You must have seen potted plants wilting and ultimately drying up if they did not get water even for a few days. You have already learnt in Chapter 1 that plants need water to get nutrients from the soil to prepare their food. Just imagine the consequences if water is not available to plants. The green character of the planet shall be lost. This may mean the end of all life for a world without plants.